about. I'm going to go ahead, since we got enough people, I'm going to go ahead and start the highlight from right here. So again, yeah, welcome. This is Friday, and special guest interviews this week's going to be Eric. Eric being Ararat, and like I said, there's already so much stuff really to talk about with him. There's no agenda. We're just going to kind of take it how it goes, and see where we end up. Let me just go ahead and update the title, and then we'll go ahead and get him called up on Skype. Special guest interview with Ararat. Okay, so done deal there, and I'm gonna go ahead and get him called up in Skype, and then we'll get the volume and stuff adjusted. One thing about Eric that I'm not sure if you guys know about is he probably has the shittiest microphone on a consistent basis out of anyone that I've ever met. So we will see what we're in store for today, since it always changes. But yeah, like the guy said in chat, go ahead, throw a link around to Twitter's, Facebook's, real IDs, guild chats, trade chats, whatever, and we'll get him in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get him a call. And this will be with webcam. So, be a dual webcam interview. Yo, homie!
Hello.
Hang on, let me turn you up. What's up?
Not much. Hanging out. How are you?
Yeah. Dude, oh my god, he cracked me up. Alright, so, let me get this full screen here. Then we'll,
I was watching your stream and then all of a sudden you called me. I forgot what that happens on podcasts and stuff.
yeah.
So, how's my hair?
Looks pretty good. Alright, I was just trying to remove that graphic so on my stream. Alright, so,
Is my mic okay? You were obviously talking shit about it.
yeah, hang on one sec. Can you guys hear him? How does he sound? So let me know what you guys think of the sound, then we can adjust it as needed. Your hair's actually pretty long, dude.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a haircut in a couple months.
You need to get that shit cut.
Oh, is that right?
Uh,
No, I know. I gotta get a haircut.
Alright. Okay, cool. So, yeah, they're saying you're good, so, yeah, we'll just take it from here. Alright, so we'll start it out just like, we do normally on the special guest stuff. So, for the people of you that, people on stream that, don't really know you or anything like that, just give us a quick background, like, name, where you're from, how long you've been playing WoW. I mean, you're good with making conversation, so just go ahead and take it from there.
You're good with making conversation. Okay. Well, my name is Eric. I play the character Ararat. I've been playing World of Warcraft since November 23rd, 2004, when it came out. I got a chance to play the beta a little bit, but I never had access myself personally. Been on Illidan since day one, never left the server. I played in a guild, Shadows of Carnage, on Illidan for about the first year. There were people I played Lineage 2 with. Terrible game, by the way. I do apologize for even mentioning its name. I ended up joining Blood Legion under the leadership of Z Extreme at the time, and I've been with them ever since. I've been with them when they were like middle of the pack in the server, to taking over the server, climbing up the charts to top 20 around Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King all the way to the end of that, and in Cataclysm, well, at least half of Cataclysm, almost.
Yeah.
So I've done everything. I've done tanking, DPS, I've raid led. I don't do DKP, and that's never going to change. After Shadows of Carnage, that was one of my deals when I joined Blood Legion, that never at any point would I ever have to do DKP. Zonker is very aware of this, and
Yeah.
whenever there's DKP disputes, he's like, "Why don't you just go fix it?" And I tell him, I don't know, I don't even know where to log in. He's like, "I know," but anyway.
Yeah. Well, real quick on the outside of WoW thing, like, just where are you from, or where are you living at right now? I know, but for everybody else.
I know you know.
Yeah.
I currently live in Burbank, California, Southern California, the best side of California. Lived here my whole life, born and raised. As much as my friends like to joke around that I'm some kind of terrorist, that is not the case. I am, in fact, Middle Eastern. However, I am Armenian. Those of you who don't know what an Armenian is, we're essentially located in the middle of Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and like Georgia. So uh, right in the middle of all those nations that don't like us very much because I guess we're a Christian nation. But anyway, enough about the politics. That's
Yeah,
my background, and that's where my epic beard comes from. My Armenian blood. So
cool stuff.
yeah.
Okay, so well, I know a lot of people are always asking, like what what I guess let's just take it. Or before we get started into that, let's just go over some of the generic questions that we ask on here. What are, some of for everybody that you already explained, he plays a warrior, but we're gonna go over some of the favorite. Like, so if you had to pick your favorite rating tier up until this point, what would you go with?
My favorite rating tier is not Ulduar, for various reasons. My favorite rating tier has always been and will always be Naxxramas 40. Now, it's not. I'm not debating 25 to 40 man. That really isn't the factor in it. The big factor for me was the difficulty level was such a jump from previous tiers, and the environment I was in, where it was essentially a fresh guild in Blood Legion because of the fact that they essentially like a lot of guilds on Illidan had dissolved. So about 5 to 6 of their best members, including officers, joined Blood Legion and created almost like a super guild. And we essentially slowly picked up in Nax and finished really strong. And I'll never forget all that we spent about 6 weeks on Four Horsemen, and I can't remember the last time we did that outside of Yogg Zero. Um, it was just a lot of fun. I thought all the encounters were great. They were all pretty unique at the time, and it's unfortunate that now when people think of Nax, especially new players, they just think of some,
Wrath of the Lich King remake.
yeah,
Yeah.
some shitter instance or whatever. But that's not what it was for me, and at that time for me, like you can ask anyone who was there at the time, like Zonker specifically, and maybe Tap. Um, Basically, the level of excitement in me doing all that stuff was off the charts because I was playing with people who didn't take the game as seriously, didn't really look into their characters or anything like that. So playing with a group of people that, by today's standards, probably aren't that good, but by those standards, were probably some of the best people I'd ever played with at the time. It was just a different feeling. It was my first time doing raiding with a top guild. Um, just seeing all the stuff, seeing people make mistakes because they're learning the encounter outside of uh, making mistakes because they're just bad.
Hmm.
It was just an amazing time period for me, and honestly, it was literally the first time real mechanics were introduced, like Thaddeus, Lotheb, the Four Horsemen coordination required by 40 people. As much as certain fights don't require all 40 people to do it right, that fight for the first half, especially, or first 75% basically, you needed all 40 people to do what they were supposed to do, or it was a wipe. So I feel like Next almost gave birth to modern day raiding, and I really, having experienced it firsthand, and being one of the very few guilds and part of the very few rosters, basically that completed it in its entirety in its original form. It's got a special place for me, and as much as I give credit to Ulduar, for me as a player, uh, personally, and unbiasedly, I still think Nax 40 was the most significant rating tier and my favorite.
Cool.
But obviously, that's my opinion. Everyone has one.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing. What about if you had to pick your favorite tier as far as what gear for your warrior, what like how it looks? Would that be tier 3 as well? Tied into
Ooh,
that for the same reasons.
that's tough. See, the thing is, tier 3 is so, as far as looks go, part of the reason why tier 3 is so good is because it's so rare. That's part of it. But it does look amazing. Tiers that pop in my head that I really enjoyed the look of was tier 6 Onslaught, tier 3, original tier 3, not the new tier 3 looks strange to me. Uh, I love Dragon Souls tier. It is, I just love it a lot. Uh, I got pretty happy with the whole transmog thing that you can actually match everything up now. Transmog is actually one of my favorite things now. So I love all my gear to
So if you had to
match.
pick one set and go with it, what's it going to be? That's what I'm getting at. You can only pick one.
So I have to pick one. I would just go with Nex. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just been my original favorite, and it just means a lot to me.
Did you have
And
all 9 pieces?
all 9 pieces, including the ring. Yep.
Okay. What about a, like, I don't know, corrupted Ashbringer or something? Did you ever get one of those?
No, I didn't get a corrupted Ashbringer.
Oh, that's weird. 'Cause I think
Oh, is that weird?
Zonker's Warrior has one. That's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah.
But
Uh,
okay. So that covers the favorites a bit. Just kind of moving on from there and trying to keep it on the somewhat similar path. What were I mean, since not a lot of people really that are currently involved with the game today have been around, full on from vanilla through now. I mean, what are some of the? I mean, you kind of went over some of the changes that vanilla gave birth to modern day rating and things like that. What were some of the things that you, I guess, that also stand out for you coming from vanilla to kind of where the game is today?
I think the biggest thing I've noticed is that it's essentially it's kind of a strange shift. Well, in vanilla, there was a lot of farming you had to do for consumables. There was about, I mean, you had to you had sharpening stones. You had 8 kinds of elixirs and flasks, eco buffs, firewall. I mean, there was like 40 things you had to farm to raid. There was a lot of time, more time involved. But obviously, the mechanics aren't as elaborate as they are now. And as I see time go on, they try and they're decreasing the amount of prep you have to do and increasing the amount of work you have to do learning a fight. That's where I feel they've done a great job at. Essentially, your focus is more on tackling, the problems that an encounter is bringing up, as opposed to spending all this time farming, for elemental earths in what Kargath or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it just require, especially if like for me, as time go on, I had less time because of school or work or whatever I was doing. So the fact that our rating schedule essentially stayed the same, uh, I just focused more on the rating rather than the 8 hours a day farming, which was great. I like that direction they've done. I really love the hard mode difficulty stuff they did, because what that allows them to do is, because all what their concern always was whatever, that not everyone gets to see the content, so they debate between making a nerfed encounter or making it harder or
Right.
whatnot. Now we can just say, hey, here are the difficulty levels, and we can make hard as we want, or as easy as we want for the normals. And now they have LFR. I mean, they're essentially really trying to, you know, support each type of player base, support the hardcore raiders, support casual raiders, support those who may not even have enough time to join a guild. So there's a lot of changes they've been doing. I have a lot of respect for, them being able to maintain their player base. So it's been I don't know. I mean, there's just been a lot that has changed. I mean, you can ask me about anything if you want to be more specific.
Yeah. Was kind of along those lines. I mean, you're kind of talking about like the difficulties and things like that changing. I mean, I agree. Like with things like LFR and being added, it does allow them to keep the heroic modes a bit more overtuned, for lack of a better phrase. Just even if it's just a little bit longer. I mean, obviously they're going to have to have nerfs at any point because you know that's just how it goes. But it allows the hardcore guilds to do their thing for the first couple months of an X pack or a patch being out. Um, just kind of going along those lines though. Talking about from that's the transition. They started adding heroics and things like that. I know going into Cataclysm, or really I guess it started in Wrath with like the Sartharian 3 Drake and things like that, and it really took foothold in Ulduar with the way that they kind of had the hard modes implemented. And then Ice Crown kind of finished off that tier. But then, coming into Cataclysm, I don't know, it felt like there was a lot of, what's a good way to put it, indecisive on where they wanted to go with some of the fights, and they were like either, dude, when you're typing, it's like loud as shit.
Oh yeah, my mic is right next to my keyboard.
But I was talking about whenever we're in Cata now, like compared to like Wrath and whatnot, and it felt like a lot of the fights early on. I mean, this is one thing I was going to get to. Were a little indecisive on where they wanted to go with them and things like that. And I was, I'm not sure if that's because of how beta went, lack thereof testing or whatnot with the heroics, but trying to use that to tie into the tier 11 push and kind of get into the current X-Pack and kind of like how you kind of watch BL go from where it was in Wrath to kind of where it was in tier 11 and then to tier 12 and then now tier 13. If you had to just kind of go over the tier 11, and also along those lines is whenever the documentary and stuff were being made. So I mean, let's try to take it one piece at a time. Like what were some of the?
Give me one piece.
Yeah. What?
Tell me where you want me to start.
Yeah. I guess we'll start with the tier 11 stuff. Like what were some of the things? Because I know I joined at the end of Ice Crown and then kind of got involved during the tier 11 stuff. So just kind of take people always ask, and that's kind of where the transition started. Just go through kind of what was happening between Wrath and entry level Cata and things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, in Wrath, where do I want to start, man? Well, basically, Wrath was, man, I don't know. So we finished essentially the documentary while they're filming us takes place well after Lich King's been killed and well before Cataclysm even comes out. As you can see, like the last portion of their filming was essentially at BlizzCon in October. So if that puts that into perspective, in Wrath, the problem was I'd been unemployed for about a year or so at that point. I had gotten laid off from my job, which allowed me to play more. It ended up becoming where I had about 6-7 alts during Wrath, and all I did was do Ice Crown runs nonstop. I would that's where the whole spreadsheet stuff sort of was born. With Trial of Champions, I discovered that I can do a pug with like 3 people in the group that I know. As long as there's a tank, one decent DPS, and one dude healing. That place was so easy. You can fill it with as many people as you want, and we just go through that. And we would like reserve trinkets. So I thought it'd be a great idea we would do about 14 or so a week to try and get all our main trinkets and things like that. So I started really getting into alts then. And then in Ice Crown it got even further where I was organizing
the Shadow Horns and stuff.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. Like, I was like, oh man, legendaries, look how easy it is to get. I needed all my alts because I started having a bunch of alts, right? That I was just basically pouring all my time into. And once we were done with Ice Crown, I started doing, well, even while we were doing normal Ice Crown before Heroics came out, I was doing 5-10 mans a week with all my characters or so. I mean, ask Kuda or Zonker. Zonker was in all of them, as well as Diggs. We were just doing them nonstop. I was basically, a lot of people were concerned I was burning myself out, and that probably was happening. I was just doing it too much. Ultimately, I just felt like I had all this free time all of a sudden, and it's not like the old days where all you do is spend, all day playing your main because you have to, like I said, farm for vanilla or whatever. So that's sort of how that spiraled into. Couple that with essentially inner officer conflicts, I guess. Myself, and I'm sure you guys saw from the movie, Lolly don't get along very well. Before that, it was Exolia. And I don't like conflict. So that stuff started wearing on me, just sort of people just bickering in officer chat or whatever. I don't know. It would just get to me a lot. So at the end of the Wrath, I sort of needed to figure out something to do with my life. And I decided it's farm time before Cata comes out. Let me start taking networking courses. So, soccer, dude, you're killing me, man. Uh, so I started taking networking courses, which basically ended up being night classes. They were Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday,
Hmm.
and at that time we would do 2 raids a week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So one of those days I'd always miss, and you know, I guess people didn't take it the right way. I don't know if people didn't take it the right way, or it was being relayed to me poorly, or my schedule was being relayed poorly. But ultimately, uh, that caused problems. People were like, all right, Eric's not around or whatever. And it was just getting difficult for me because, I mean, if I want to keep doing what I'm doing, I need to. I mean, I've been playing the game for 7.5 years at this point. Well, right now, and at that point, it was what, 6.5 or 5 years. I'd finished school. I needed to get my career going. I need to get something going. So I started taking networking courses for Cisco just so I can, head towards something.
Right, direction. Yeah.
Right. Um, and around that time, I mean, all the alt raids and people not stop showing up, but people still needed shit. I don't know. Like things started piling up, and uh, when Kata started, I had a very hard time playing the game at a hardcore level. I mean, it was just sort of when couldn't level as fast as everyone else, and I fell behind. It was sort of disheartening, and obviously it upset people. It wasn't cool, and you know, I eventually turned that around. I mean, I got to 85, and got the gear I needed, and went through tier 11. We finished out well. That went okay, and then
Well,
um,
before, real quick, not to interrupt you, before you transition into Tier 12 stuff, I kind of wanted to highlight a little bit on what you were saying with, like, I mean, you more or less started the way that, I mean, the current, basically, like, wrote the initial book, like, of how we kind of handle alts and how it's kind of transitioned in from, the way that you guys kind of did it in Ice Crown. It was kind of like the tip of the iceberg, and, now we've got, like, the whole, legion of alts and doing 5, 6, 7 runs a week and things like that for various reasons and whatnot. But what were there any other people really involved with getting those alt runs kind of the way that they were, or what? I mean, I saw Zonker trolling earlier and said you didn't really even have alts prior to Ice Crown, but I mean, kind of how did that alt thing come into play and get started?
as far as the alt stuff went, I knew those guys did their own alt runs for a while. Like Kudo was a prominent member of that. Zonker had been doing alt runs since like Molten Core, basically on his warrior. And Diggs was always into them. I sort of got into the alt stuff at TOC, and what happened was, a friend of mine, Nedin, he basically convinced me to do pugs on my own, sort of. So I would say he's a factor in my venture into this. But what happened was in Ice Current was I spoke with pretty much I knew everybody who wanted to play alts, in addition to all the PvPers we had in our guild, which were essentially retired members. Uh, I said, hey, I at that point had too many alts, and I said I want to make sure they all had 10 mans to do. So that's where I decided, hey, I'm just gonna make a spreadsheet and say what day we're doing what.
So you came
Uh,
up with a spreadsheet idea?
yeah, essentially it was for me to make sure all my characters got gear,
Oh,
right? Yeah.
never mind. I got it. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do this? I'm like, okay, I can't just say, hey, let's do a run this day. I have to be like, all right, I need everyone who's interested and what days you're good. And I just sort of splattered it together. I'm like, all right, this looks good. I mean, in Ice Crown, nothing I did was required by members. It was just anybody who wanted to participate, and it ended up sort of, I guess, becoming more beneficial than I originally thought. And the biggest thing that really helped me was because I played so many different classes. I got such a good understanding of how all the classes work and how they work together that it really helped me,
Hmm.
raid lead a lot better and sort of figure out encounters and try and contribute better in that
Right.
regard. That's one thing I fell short in Kata, obviously, but I mean that's a whole different story we can
Yeah.
get into.
I don't.
Um,
I definitely. I like that. It just. I know when I joined, I remember looking at the Ice Crown spreadsheet, and it just made it had an immediate impact on me. I was like, this is this is awesome, just because of how organized and things like that it was, and we kind of took that and amplified it a little bit, and that's kind of, I mean, we've got spreadsheets for everything that we've got going on now. We've got a spreadsheet that tracks spreadsheets, like spreadsheet inception. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty amazing. If I knew at the time that like Bobina or Nodos were into all that. I mean, Nodos is doing it for different reasons now.
yeah,
I don't. I mean, obviously things are completely different now. But if I had other people helping me, that would have been cool.
yeah.
I told Bob, I'm like, dude, I didn't know you were a Captain Spreadsheet now. Well, I wish you helped me back then.
I think Bob kind of got voluntold. I don't think he was really
Voluntold?
like
Nice.
yeah, I don't think he volunteered so much. But let's see. What about it's kind of off topic, but I know Zonker was sending me some tells, wanting me to bring it up. He was wanting me to or get a direct answer from you. How many different microphones have you went through during your raiding career in BL?
Oh my God.
Rough ballpark estimate.
Uh, 10 at least.
At
At
least
least
10.
10. At least 10. Yeah.
Why so many?
I break all of them. Rytos is here. Oh, this guy. How you doing, buddy? I'm gonna be in Seattle, bro. You still there?
Was that guy used to be in BL?
Yeah, Rytos. Rytos slash Rybread slash Ryan. He was actually the first person outside of Lineage 2 that was recruited into Shadows of Carnage, and I don't know why, but somehow I convinced him to stay with our complete garbage guild and rebuild it rather than him moving on to another guild. Um, and what's it called? He followed me over to Blood Legion, and he was the main tank with us, one of the main tanks with us in all of BC. In BC, we had four. It was I guess how I'd want to call them the four horsemen. It was me, Face Cleaver, Rye Toast, and Foofer. Yeah, four of us were all the tanks, two pharaohs, two warriors, and we worked really well together. I loved that entire team. And then when Wrath came, all of them had to quit for one reason or another. And but yeah, so yeah, Raitos is essentially one of the oldest members, oldest people I know from the game. Stuck with me from my original guild, came over with me to Blood Legion, and it was just he's just a cool guy. I've hung out with him a bunch because he lives up in Washington, Seattle area.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, he had to quit because of school. He had to. I mean, it was in his last couple of years. He really needed to buckle down on it. And actually, right now, he works for a really cool video game company. I don't know if you want me to mention it or you mention it, but they've got a game dropping soon, and it's gonna be awesome. So
Yeah.
just saying.
I know it's kind of funny. It's like just how this all ties in together. I mean, it's like literally, you probably know more people in WoW, like by yourself than pretty much anybody else I've ever met. I mean, it's kind of like, and it's not just like, hey man, what's up? I mean, it's kind of like, you're the type of guy that sits down. They know what's going on with people, and it's like, hey, I mean, just ballpark. I mean, how many people have you ever sat down and thought about it? Like, how many people you actually have met and keep in contact with through this game?
Um, I've lost count of how many people I've met. It's just been a lot. I keep in touch with a lot of people. Lot of people. I mean, I don't even know where to begin.
What are you talking?
Friends,
Hundreds? What? I mean, you think it's 1,000?
I've probably met over 200 people that I've directly played with.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I keep in touch with as many of them as I can, basically, or as many of them as permit me to keep in touch with them. What happened when I got laid off in 2009? I spent 2 months traveling around the country, couch surfing with friends from WoW. A lot of them I met for the first time. A lot of them um, I had met before. And these are people that are either new, they were new recruits at the time, or people I played year one with in WoW, or current members, whatever. Like, I mean, I went all around. Love meeting all those people. Yeah, Raitos, Guild Wars 2, check that out. Yeah, but uh, yeah, I mean, it's really what does it for me, man. Like when I had to stop raiding and I would just play single player games or whatever. Or here, this is the best example. I started playing UFC Undisputed 3. I love MMA, by the way, and for some reason I love this game. Their community is like, take the biggest Jagoff in WoW, multiply it by 8, and just make a complete community of that. It's disgusting. Number one.
You talking about like the online community for that game or something?
Yeah, like it's just horrendous. It's the console gaming community. Everyone's just like, "Oh, you bitch, bro, you're whatever." I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, we haven't even started playing. This guy's like calling me names. I'm like, whatever. I don't know. It's just strange for me. And then playing single player games or just watching TV. The whole social interaction of WoW and such. Really what did it for me, and a lot of why when things were tough in the guild that I wanted to keep going is because it is the people, really. You know, I cared a lot about everybody I played with, you know, and I didn't want to let them down. And I don't know, I consider them my friends. You know, I consider all you guys my friends.
Right.
So it means it's different for me, you know.
Right. Yeah. Speaking about the MMA stuff, you just kind of mentioned it off topic, but who's your favorite MMA guy?
Probably, man.
Just one, man.
It's tough right now because a lot of my favorites are in trouble. I'd say Nick Diaz. Love Nick Diaz.
Well, you're bandwagon then, bro, because that was like. You definitely didn't like him last year.
No, I love BJ Penn. BJ Penn, who knows if he's going to fight again. I love Nick Diaz. I love Shogun. Overeem, I'm very pissed that he tested positive last few days ago. So I don't know what to think about that. I don't know. I thought he was legit. GSP is boring as hell. I can't wait for someone to beat him.
Oh, man.
I respect what he's done. I love dominant champions because it makes me more excited for their fights. Because I always cheer for the underdogs. Like, for me, like when an underdog wins, it's awesome. Like when Matt Serra KO'd GSP, that was mind blowing. You know, when Tim Bosch took out Yushin Okami recently, that flipped my shit. Like he was insane. That was awesome.
Yep.
I love that stuff. BJ Penn, I love Nick Diaz because he always put on great fights, especially when he joins Strike Force. His BJ Penn fight was mind blowing. I didn't think he was that good.
What do you think about Rampage Jackson?
I mean, he was. I stopped being a big Rampage fan after the Forrest Griffin fight, mainly because not because he lost, but because he obviously didn't take that fight seriously to me.
Yeah.
And he went on a rampage afterwards.
I see what you did.
And he just wasn't the same since. I think his best fight ever was him against Henderson. He really showed great skills. He showed good stand-up, great dominant wrestling. I mean, great control. Like that was one of his best fights that a lot of people don't even remember happening. He just hasn't looked the same since. And his latest fight was, I don't know, a waste of everyone's time, including his. I don't know. Vanderlei isn't the same as he was back then, so I don't know how much weight I would put on his victory over Vanderlei in their third fight. I
don't keep up with it quite as heavily as you do, but I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, I used to watch it a lot more than I do now. I was a huge Chuck Liddell fan. I remember whenever he lost to I think it was actually Rampage Jackson. After he was on that huge win streak for the longest time, I think Rampage is the one that knocked him out. I remember that. I think it was in 2006, dude. It crushed my day. I was just,
Well, did
killed
you
me.
know Rampage had already beaten him?
Yeah, I knew, but I thought, I mean, Chuck was like invincible at the time. I was like, dude, he's about to, lay pipe on this guy, and then he got knocked out
Well,
again.
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest Chuck fan mainly because the problem was everyone thought he was the best, but the fact was more than half of the best 205ers were in Pride, so there wasn't like a best to me. And all the dudes like he would fight would like when Babalu fought Chuck, like he had the dumbest game plan. It was just terrible, and he just got knocked out 2 times. I don't know. Him knocking out Couture twice, that was
Yeah.
legit. I'll give him that. His fight against Vandal was pretty good when they eventually fought. I don't know. I actually liked Chuck more when he lost to Rampage and he was trying to get back. That was
Yeah,
good.
he
I remember
couldn't-
when he lost to Keith Jardine, and I remember yelling, "Are you effing kidding me? Did Keith Jardine just beat Chuck Liddell?"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Jardine wins or whatever decision." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Is this real? Did
Yeah.
this seriously happen?" Keith Jardine beat Chuck Liddell. I'm like, "What a joke, dude."
This guy, I want to try to get it back on the wild track, but this guy wants
yeah.
answer this one question for this one guy. He wants to know your opinion of John Jones real quick. That'll be the last MMA question. What do you think about him? Do you think he's the real deal? You think he's what?
I think he's fake, personality-wise. I think it's all front. But I think I love the fact that how dominant he is. 205 has not had a dominant champion like him since. There are 2 things I want to see out of John Jones. Either I want to see him crush everybody and go to heavyweight and crush everybody and become the greatest ever, or I want to see him get dominant enough to the point where he seems completely invincible, and then some underdog comes and takes him out.
Like Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas mode?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
out of nowhere?
I love people just shocking you like that.
Yeah. It's always
I
fun to
think
see.
if Jones walks through Evans, I'm talking walks through, not just beats, then I honestly don't know who's gonna beat this guy. Henderson might get lucky if he punches him once. That guy's got a granite chin and a right hand that could knock out anybody, literally. And I feel like he's getting old man strength at this point. He's just punching harder as he gets older. It's really weird.
Old man
but yeah,
strength.
if Jones still has the title at the end of 2012, I want to see him at heavyweight because I don't think anyone at 205 is going to beat him.
Yeah.
And I want him to stop being fake. And he's probably the cockiest motherfucker out there. Just be cocky, dude. Whatever. Just do it. You know, get over it. Whatever.
Okay, so I know we could. I'm actually pretty surprised that the chat's so involved with the UFC stuff. I didn't. It's not usually a common topic, but it seems like it's a pretty favorable topic for people. So it's awesome to know. But kind of getting back on the wild scene or whatever. I mean, you kind of transition from the Ice Crown to the Tier 11, and then kind of explain why there was a little bit of the hiccups during the Tier 11 process. And I know a lot of people are always coming in and just like, well, what happened with Eric? Did he end up, did he see you in the documentary and things like that? I mean, just I guess real quick, kind of go over what happened from your, I guess your official statement, like, you took a break during Firelands, and then now kind of like your current status and things like that, just so everybody's clear. Because I get asked that question literally every single night, so this way they can hear it from the man himself.
So you want Tier 11 till now?
No, just Firelands, kind of how that went down, and then
Oh, you want to know Firelands?
Right.
Okay.
And then like when you officially went on retirement, and then the current status.
Sure. Yeah, I couldn't cut it. I had to quit. I couldn't play with my hands. I had to play with my feet, and it just wasn't working. No. So Tier 11 ended on a high note for me, at least attendance-wise. So things were going well. At the time, I was still looking for work. I had lost my the contract I was working on around that time. That sort of ate into some of my Tier 11. The first couple of weeks was over. I got over my hump of playing again. So Tier 11 ended strong. We're going into Firelands, and things were going okay. I was making PTR, but not the European PTR. I just wasn't getting up in time, or I had work to do. it just wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't ideal, I guess. But when Firelands came out, I was ready to go. A week before Firelands came out, I had applied for this job and interviewed, and it went really well. And I told the officers, "Hey, just letting you know, I applied for a job. It was at Hewlett Packard at the time, and it's looking good. If I get this job, I don't know what my availability will be." So I let them know that, and we sort of went about our business the first week of normals. And halfway through the week, I got the job. So essentially, the first day hard modes were out, I started my job.
Okay.
And I mean, that's just the situation that I was in. Um, it wasn't an opportunity I was willing to pass up. That was my 2 year anniversary of being unemployed, essentially, without a full time position. I mean, I'd done contract work on the side here and there, but it just I needed this, so I took the job. Um, and my hours were, I'm on the West Coast, and our raid times are Central Time basically. So we start my time Pacific. We start raiding at 5. Normal raid times, mind you. I got off work at 5, and it was about an hour drive to get home. So I would always be an hour, hour and a half late to raids. First week of hard modes, especially we started raiding right when servers came out. So that day when I got home, you guys had 4 hard mode kills under your belt, and there was virtually no point bringing me in at that point because you guys were just sort of rolling. You want to get through. You guys are getting world first on a lot of these. So went through that. So the first week, essentially, I started falling behind on gear. Next week, I was like, all right, I'll get home as soon as I can. We'll do it. Tuesday, again, start raid early, clear the hard modes that we have done, just so when we get our full 100% roster at raid time, we can go. So it's sort of snowballing into me falling behind on gear, me coming home late from work. It just wasn't working out, you know? And when it got to like Heroic Rag, all the time we spent on that, I had almost nothing. I had no hard mode gear. I barely had any normal gear. It was just sort of a waste to bring me in. I was brought in sometimes to help out, but as soon as for example, when Kudo would log in, I'd get replaced, and it was understandable. I gladly sat aside. So ultimately, combination of this job and the fact that I wasn't able to be there 100%, I just felt like I was a waste of a raid spot, and I don't know. I figured, it's time to stop. I don't want to get in people's way. I don't want to hold people back. I don't want people to feel obligated to put me in because I've been in the guild, I'm a veteran or whatever. I'm an officer. All that didn't mean anything to me because I couldn't commit to what the guild needed at the time, and it was a choice between work and that, and I chose to do my work. So Firelands, end of Firelands, I officially retired, and that was around the same time where we got the live raid invitation, and the officers decided that majority-wise that they felt that I should accompany Zonker up there, so I got the privilege to do that. So I kept actively raiding after they finished RAG just to maintain gear and make sure I knew all the fights and don't screw up or anything like that. So my last official raid was BlizzCon 2011, and about 2 weeks before that, the documentary came out that we were sort of doing the year before.
Let's before you get into current status or whatnot, I want to kind of focus on the BlizzCon stuff a little bit. Like, how nervous were you? I mean, because you and Zonker, like you said, were the 2 people that were up there on stage. I know, it was even kind of, you have the nerves and things like that going regardless of really just because of the situation. It was the live raid head-to-head and things like that. But, being on the main stage and things like that, what did it kind of feel like?
It was very emotional for me. The biggest thing was, yeah, it was just like everyone, I was representing everyone with Zonker, and it was really strange for me because it was the first time where I was sort of taking a backseat to everything. I mean, you guys had your stuff rolling, You guys had been doing it for the longest time. I just didn't want to let you guys down more than anything. I didn't want, like, you guys kept joking, "Oh, don't die, Eric, don't die, Eric," whatever. And I was freaking out. And the night before, I was out at a party, and
Oh, I remember that, dude. Zonker texted me
yeah,
at like 2 in the
yeah,
morning, and he said Eric's not in the room yet, and I just thought you were like gonna show up the next day just toasted,
yeah,
dude. And I was like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, it was bad. And then I was with Aries at the time. I'm like, Aries, wouldn't it be fun if we text Rig, like me and you partying, or text Zonker or something? He's like, do it, man. So I take a picture of us drinking and I send it to Zonker, and then I'll never forget this. Zonker texted me back. Uh, don't make us. I don't know about you, but we're taking this seriously. Don't make us regret picking you.
Oh my god, I didn't
That's
even
what he
know
said.
that. I didn't even
That's
know
what he
that.
said.
I didn't even
And
know that.
I felt like the biggest piece of shit at that point. I'm like, I need to go. I'm like, dude, I need to go. I can't believe like, yeah, he said that, or I feel like crap, whatever. So I went back to my room. I was trying to go to sleep, but then I got woken up by random drunks or whatever. Some friends of mine. There was some drama I had to deal with, some friends. In any event, I wanted to make sure I was the first one there, and I think I was the second one there. Or I ran into Zonker while we were walking there.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like me and him, and then everyone else sort of rolled in. So I was like, I want to make sure I'm the first one there. I want to make sure these guys know, hey, I'm not effing around. I'm not going to whatever. And the whole time I'm thinking, don't die, don't die. Like, everyone's like, Eric, don't die. Because, like, I'm the dude that hasn't been raiding with them. I've just been sort of farming with them once a week. So I felt like I had the biggest scrutiny on me. And we were up there. And then I'm like, just don't die, Eric. I'm like, don't die. That's it. And then I heard that Zonker died. It just put a smile on my face. And I...
oh man, dude.
And I felt much calmer at that point. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm not the one that screwed up. Zonker, the guy who never screws up anything, died on stage, on camera. Yeah. Amazing. I was like, this is the best right now. This is the best moment ever. Because that guy literally makes the fewest mistakes out of any player I've ever played with in the last 7 years. And rarely, even if he makes a mistake, rarely admits to it. But when I heard that and saw it happen, I was like, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. They fixed the breath, whatever. He died. It was awesome. I just want
to clarify, just for Zonker's sake, what ended up happening was we actually did a dry run. We knew what was going to happen at BlizzCon. We knew the raid that they had us set up with. So basically what happened, we went in there the week prior, and we were doing dry runs like, this is how we wanted to do Beth. We were figuring out the maximum amount of people that we could send up and the minimum amount of people we could, keep down and things like that. And what we would do is we would leave all the mages up there, and they would invis the blast, and they could just stay up there. But what we didn't know is, that was during the patch, on PTR. We were practicing it on live, and in that patch, they fixed it to where you couldn't invis. So Zonker was up there, and he invised and ended up getting nuked.
Well, who else? What other mages were up there?
I think Ataxis actually messed up and didn't even make it up when he was supposed to, because we were supposed to both be up there. So Ataxis didn't die to his own mistake, and Zonker just ended up dying while we were up there. And I know, I don't know, definitely live raid was amazing. I don't know, it was one of the highlights of my raiding career altogether. The one guy in there is asking in chat kind of like about the keyboard story. I know this is Ararat's interview or whatnot, but just to answer that question, kind of what happened was I was actually raiding from a hotel across the street just because the convention center, I didn't have any add-ons or anything like that. I just wanted to play, with a normal setup. I didn't want anything to be out of ordinary. I mean, I'm like really OCD. I've got to have everything pretty much in a, the perfect spot, to be comfortable or whatnot. But, we were on Beth Talak, and I was lagging so bad. I was like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to tank this. And then we get to Rylith, right? We already had our path planned out. And then we got to Rylith, and I DC'd, and that's why if you go back and watch the video, you can kind of see us waiting around in front of Alice Razor for about a minute, because what was happening during that time frame between Rylith and Alice Razor is as soon as I DC'd, it was like time froze. I was like, oh shit, like decision time. I got to make a decision right now that I'm going to have to live with. Do I just hope the internet comes back on, or do I cut my losses here and run over to the convention center? So I ran about, I don't know, it was like either a quarter or half a mile, like dead sprint all the way over to the convention center and plugged in my keyboard on that computer and just, we got back in it. And it's pretty fun, man. I don't know. That's definitely, like I said, the highlight.
When that happened, I almost threw up on stage because I was like, this can't be happening. Like, we can't go out like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can't go out like this. Like, and I'm like, if this causes us to lose, like, I don't even know. I can't even imagine, like, the shit you would have gotten for that. Like,
no, tell me about it, man. I know. Yeah, I was.
Because everyone would have just been like, why did you just fucking raid from the convention center?
Yeah.
Why?
What people don't know is I actually had it planned out. Like, I had it set up as a contingency because I went to the convention center that morning and set up everything just in case that happened because my hotel was really close and I knew that I could make it over there in less than 3 minutes at a dead sprint. So I had it all planned out, and it just so happened that it ended up, the internet did go out, and I was just like, whatever. And I had it planned out, going from the elevator. I think I was on the 8th floor. So from the elevator to the bottom floor, out of the hotel and into the convention center in about 2.5 minutes. So it was pretty memorable.
It was. I don't know if you've heard the entire event recording again, but or Mumble. Attacks or Abs started freaking out, and he's like actually trying to like tell us what to do. Like, I've never heard Absalom like try and take charge like that, like, ever. He's so quiet and whatever, but everyone was on nerves, and it was bad for Team Zonker because we're just like, we're not near everyone, so we don't know where you are or if you're actually almost there or if you are there. So we're all just freaking out, and I usually in situations if something goes wrong, I'm accustomed to, just rolling with it and doing something and changing it on the fly. But I honestly didn't have all the information I needed to do something like that. It was just bad. It was just a bad situation, and I just kept thinking, we can't go out like this. Like, just please God, don't let us go out like this.
Yeah.
Things worked out.
It actually made made the race
like. The audience. Yeah, it was really close because of that. It was that and the fact that the
debuff on Belrock.
Yeah, that screwed us up. But yeah, all my friends in the audience, they saw you go offline in the raid frames and they started freaking out. So all the people who played the game, or at least knew us and played the game, at least were astute enough to catch that, when they saw your name go gray on mine or Zonker's raid frames, they panicked because they're like, oh my god, why is Riggnaros offline? Like, this is bad. So it was just, it was a terrible situation. Just to say that.
I don't know. I think it was just meant to happen. To be honest with you, dude, just because of how legit it made the whole thing. Because it was literally because of that, and because if anybody goes back and watches the debuff, there's probably a lot of people that just don't appreciate how well that we actually did because it was so close with how sloppy the other guild played. But the reason that it was so close was because of what Eric just said, with the DC issue with myself, and then the debuff on Belrock. But if you go back and rewatch the thing, we only had 3 deaths the entire raid, and that was it from the whole thing from start to finish.
None of them were me. None of them were me, by the way.
So
throwing that out there.
If anybody's in chat, if you guys can throw in like a link to the live raid, it's on YouTube, and I'm sure somebody can toss it in there. But I don't know. It was definitely. I was devastated to hear they weren't having a BlizzCon this year. I was going to bring a title belt, like one of those WWE title belts, and hopefully we would get to go back and get a challenger for the title. But one sec, I think I DC'd. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my stream just went to commercial, so hang on. Let me make sure that.
Sure.
Let me know when you guys can hear me, because I don't want to be going while we're offline. For some reason my stream just went to commercial and I got like a shitty internet warning on my Skype. Okay, so I guess we're still good. Anyways, yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know, it just turned out awesome all around, and hopefully they end up doing a defending title thing. I thought they would be pretty good. But live raid, that was amazing. But real quick, kind of, like you said, he Eric ended up retiring really during Firelands, and he kind of, went out like Michael Jordan, like on top from the live raid win and things like that. But, just kind of go into your current thing. The reason, or I'll just let you explain it pretty much in full, like current
Sure.
status, stream status, all that stuff.
So, yeah. So after Firelands, essentially, I was working at HP at 9 to 5, 2 hour plus commute every day. Wasn't able to raid, you know. And Dragon Soul I had to sit out for all that, obviously, just sort of sitting from the sides. It was tough. That was definitely tough for me. I was very proud of what everyone had done, and I mean, the one thing people have to understand, it took a lot to get BL to where it is today, and people wonder, oh, why wasn't BL good back then and it is now? Well, you gotta understand, because of the fact that I cared so much about these people and everybody, and I consider my friends, I didn't want to let them go. And when people say, hey, uh, or when in the movie it was mentioned that, oh, I tell people to quit. I tell people to quit if their real life isn't going well, if they need to get things in order, because they're not focused in the game, and it's not helping us out, it's not helping them out. So I would tell them, hey, maybe you should take time away or whatever. Take care, get your affairs in order. And that didn't sit well with some people or whatnot. And I remember speaking with Paragon at the time that um, they would cut and swipe away all the people that were not good or didn't have the time. Like, for example, Grunz, for example, he didn't have the time to put in more than he already was doing. So we weren't able to do more, put in the hours that was required to really push to be number one. But what we did start doing is, as people dipped away, we would replace them with somebody who was capable of raiding on Fridays or raiding more hours or raiding earlier. So eventually that led to, especially in Canada, there was a large surge. A lot of people quit in Tier 11, mind you. So in Tier 12, we recruited a lot of people who were able to raid a lot. That's where people like Affinity came in, things like people like that. And some of the older members that stayed, they obviously could raid. They were able to raid a lot. They were in they had different circumstances. So at Dragon Soul, I was thinking, hey, maybe I can give this a shot. But the amount of hours, it was just too much. It just, with my work and whatnot. But in any event, so with Dragon Soul over, I started sort of raiding with everyone again, doing farm stuff, and I actually got a new job. I went from working at HP to working for a healthcare company. I don't know if I should mention it, but maybe people will find out. But anyway, currently a senior network engineer, and I work from home, which is pretty awesome. I work mostly nights, got my own schedule, got a great boss that lets me manage myself, basically. And I've been doing that for 3 or 4 months now, and essentially the last 2 weeks for me was a test run. I wanted to see if I can raid and work. I mean, all this stemmed from Wrath when I started taking networking courses to try and find a job, to try and get that part of my life sorted. And honestly, at this point, it is sorted. I'm currently CCNA. I have my switching portion of CCNP done. I need to take my routing and troubleshooting for CCNP, but I don't anticipate to be a problem, so I'll be able to complete that. But yeah, just FYI to answer that question. Those of you who don't know that, those are Cisco certifications, but anyway. So long story short, I talked with the guys. I talked with Rig, Taxis, Zonker. I told them, hey, I'm interested. I wanna try and give this another go. Things are, and I know what's expected of me at this point. I know where the guild's at, and my policy has always been, you know, I always like to give what the guild needs of me, and if I can't do that, I don't want to. But the last 2 weeks have shown me that this is something that I can do, and I want to do. So, I mean, people in the guild have already sort of figured it out, but I'd like to, I guess, officially at this point, publicly state that I will be returning to raiding in Miss Pandaria. I will be beta testing with everybody. I will be leveling hardcore with everybody. Um, and all of this will be happening without getting in the way of my work schedule. So I will be able to, it's essentially going to be me balancing the life of a network engineer and hardcore raider. That's ridiculous. Um,
You see what Zonker said?
what did he say? I can't see.
Just scroll up.
Way to sleep 69. Yeah, I know, seriously. Uh, but yeah, I'm turning into Diggs, man. Diggs likes to sleep. Um, I'm not taking over, number one, if people think that. Rig came at a perfect time, and when I met Rig for the first time, I knew he was my ticket to to figure
Take it
out
out. Yeah.
took it out basically at the time because I needed out. So Rig's done a great job, and he will continue to do a great job. And my primary focus is going to be uh, doing what's required of me to commit myself to what the standards the guild has right now, because it's obviously changed a lot. I'm looking forward to playing with a lot of old faces, new people, and what's to come. I missed it a lot. I love what you guys have been doing with the stream stuff, but yeah, so that's the plan. Who's that dude behind me? Someone behind me? uh, yeah, so I'm pretty excited, and I will actually be joining the BL gaming stream team, I guess. Yes, that will be happening. I will after this interview, you'll see my page on the BL streaming site when you go to twitch.tv/team/BL gaming or whatnot.
You're gonna
You can
leave it
also
on
go.
so they can have when raid time rolls around, we can see you sleeping on the bed there.
Yeah, I'll leave it on when I'm sleeping so you can wake me up. Um, so it'll be good times. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of things with that. One thing Rick mentioned was I know a lot of people from the guild, so I'm gonna be doing bunch of interviews with old members to try and give people the history of BL and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to doing this. My career is sort of in order. Things are going well. All the sacrifices I made, uh, the counter sacrifices I made uh, for basically in Cataclysm have now paid off, and now it's essentially two things sort of wood rolling together. And people have been pretty positive about the reaction. The officers have been, very positive. Ultimately, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, and I've been playing some of the beta, and it's really reignited my love for the game, and I don't know, pretty excited about the future and what's to hold.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a lot of potential. So I mean, we'll see how things turn out as far as beta rating and whatnot. See how many more times you and we end up having to wake you up from oversleeping raid times and things like that. I'll let Zonker deal with that though. He's more of the muscle when it comes to disciplinary stuff. That's all Zonker.
Zonker's the muscle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Is that what's going on now?
yeah, things have kind of changed around a little bit.
Things have changed.
Yeah, but no, it's cool. But real quick, like I said, we could probably keep talking for probably another hour or something. But let's see. I want to go ahead and I guess open it up to stream questions and let you guys ask any questions really for Ararat or myself, and we'll see how it works out. And there's not going to be like any. It's not like a major change. People don't need to think that anything is overhauling or anything like that. Eric's just back in the mix. He'll be raiding with us and whatnot. So let's see. A lot of people asking are there a lot of raiders coming back? No, there's not a lot of raiders. We haven't had a lot of raiders leave. It's we've pretty much got the same roster that we have had since Dragon Soul, and that is a roster that's very strong. We've added a couple of really solid pickups from some other guilds, and gotten rid of some weaker links. So our goal is pretty much to continue to improve and then just finish as good as we can next year. But we'll go ahead and take some of these questions. See, how did you cope with being replaced as main tank during Arkham because you couldn't break fears?
Really? Out of all the good questions you asked, Zonker's question.
Oh, that's Zonk. I didn't even know that was
You're
Zonker.
a dick, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna make excuses. I wasn't ready that night for 1 second fears. I didn't use macros at the time to break fears, so I basically got frustrated that night and told Face Cleaver to do it, and people have not busted my balls since that day. It was probably, according to Z Extreme, it was the first time I had made a mistake that people can scrutinize me for. I didn't deal with it well at the time. It still kind of bugs me at this point, but hey, what are you gonna do? Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I redeemed myself when I tanked it later and I showed I can do it. It was just a bad day.
Why don't you? Somebody just link this to me. You don't have an engineering enchant on your glove right now. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't have it yet.
Oh.
I just got those gloves.
Oh.
So,
We
oh my
don't
god.
do stuff like that around here anymore, man.
Oh my god.
All right, but I'm just giving you shit. Now just going on to some other questions here. I know I'll probably get this one a lot. Probably best to go ahead and answer that from here. This one guy's asking, are you going to be raid leading? So I guess we'll go ahead and answer that here while we're both on the stream together.
Primary raid leading and all raid leading will be done by Riggnaros. Ultimately, most likely, if it comes up, if I feel the urge, I'll give my patented signature motivational speeches. That will probably happen, so expect that. I honestly, I'm just focused on doing my role and helping out. The biggest way I always contributed was conflict resolution, so I'll probably be doing that. But whenever I feel like whenever I feel or Rig feels, and it makes it known that he's overwhelmed, I'll obviously step in and help. If Rig for some reason can't be there, I'll obviously help. But I do not intend to change anything as to what's going on right now. Things right now are working great. I just feel that I can be a part of it again, and I feel like I can make a positive impact on, the next tier in one way or another. So,
Let's see.
that's my plan.
Yeah. Two more really good questions here. We'll start with one. People always ask, or not always, but a lot of people are asking right now, like, what class do you plan on playing during MOP? You just stick with your warrior, or be going with a different option?
I plan on playing my warrior. I will upkeep at least 1 to 2 alts. Well, at least two
At least
alts.
two. Yeah.
At least 2 alts. The big three, things is different. So I'll play what's needed of me. I'm not a stranger to that. I had to do it for half of Sunwell progression. I played a warlock. At the time, they were pretty easy. They got a lot harder in Wrath, or in Cata actually. In Wrath, they weren't too bad. In Wrath and Cata, they were pretty bad. I'm a pretty bad warlock in Cata. I mean, better than your average player, but not as good as. I would basically fail a trial if I had to trial my warlock. So no intention there. I plan on playing my warrior, but again, we will see what happens when Mist comes out. I will play what is needed and what not only myself but everyone feels that I would be best at to contribute.
If you had to pick a follow-up, what would it be besides your warrior? Probably your lock, or I mean, if you just second favorite character to play, what would you go with?
My second favorite character has always been my warlock, but that's always been an alt. Ultimately, if I was gonna hardcore raid, I'd want to try and do a melee class, mainly because it's similar to my warrior and how I would have to approach an encounter. But I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe I'll like monks, who knows. But I've always loved my warrior, and if the option is there, I'd want to play my warrior. So.
Yeah. I actually see people. I see. What we got? Fury, that Raitos guy. I think that may be Rutso. I'm not sure. Let's not talk to him though.
Rutso?
He's blacklisted from these parts. But what Is that the real Fury? I'm just curious. But
I'm sure it is. He was he was hitting me up on Facebook, telling me I'm awful at Archimond. So
oh, okay.
he's actually bad at walking into bubbles on what was it, Kill Jaden, was it? Can we get that video? Can we get that footage? Footage of Fury not knowing how to walk into a bubble. He just had to, take a lap around the world and then try and get in. What was that? What was that? Yeah.
So here's another question that was a little bit up. I went ahead and jotted it down. A lot of people always ask, like, did you enjoy making the documentary? If you just try to summarize that real quick. I mean, was that something you enjoyed?
Loved making a documentary. It was amazing. I actually acquired every single minute of interview I did with those guys, and just because I loved it, and all my friends and family. It was just amazing. Personally, I thought it was going to be more about learning what the people behind hardcore raiding to try and put a positive spin on WoW, but it sort of morphed into just the race the world first to try and get everyone involved. I just loved it, dude. Trying to get my voice out there, trying to let people know about me, and understand what it takes to get to where you are and what you have to deal with to get where you're at. That the fact that we're not like gnomes sitting in a closet doing nothing. We actually have friends in real life, and a lot of us in WoW are good friends also, and you just meet a lot of people. So it was an amazing experience. I wish it was longer. I wish they included more footage. There's so much stuff that can be. It was just amazing, man. My mind was blown, dude. You gotta understand. My entire WoW career, everyone said that you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. What the hell are you doing? And to go out with a documentary about you and your guild and your game, and to raiding on stage.
The live raid. Yeah.
With what? I don't even know how many people watching on DirecTV. For something to come out of something that people thought is a waste of time has been amazing. And I actually mentioned the fact my recent interview with the job I have now. The guy asked me, "What is your proudest accomplishment personally?" And I told them getting to raid on stage at BlizzCon, basically. And not exactly those words. I had sort of
doctored up a little bit.
Explain a little differently. But ultimately, it was, being one of the best at this game and being recognized for it, and raiding on stage, and also being in a documentary. I highly recommend. Listen, I highly recommend everyone watch the documentary. If you haven't seen it, racetoworldfirst.com. It is free to watch until May 1st. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you have seen it, tell your friends. John and Zach are the filmmakers. LFGProductions.com. Those guys went out, a lot of guerrilla filmmaking. They really put their heart and soul into this project, and it really, every WoW player can relate to it, and it's just a great piece, just to sort of give everyone a look as to what we go through and how important it is what we do. What these guys do, what Rig does, Zonker, everyone involved, what Blood Legion means to the people in Blood Legion, and you sort of see where we were at before and where we're at now. I mean, however you want to do it.
Yeah, it was definitely more like a turning point for the guild, to be honest. Kind of like that's what the documentary, because I mean, I would say actually 50% of the guild during the documentary is kind of, rolled over into a different roster now. I mean, that was kind of like that documentary was what divided the guild from being, the hardcore people who wanted to push, super, to attempt to be, one of the best guilds out there. And, it's actually pretty much where it all started, and then it kind of evolved into what it is now, and, almost like a complete leadership change for the most part, with you and Zarg still being around, but, with, Lollipop, obviously, on, rotating out and whatnot. But, I don't know, it's a very interesting video. I know a lot of people usually, I guess, get confused on the video is where, thinking that that's the current state of the guild, when it's actually quite a bit different than it was during the video and things like that. So But it is definitely worth watching if you guys haven't watched it, especially free on that website. But let's see. Yeah, there seems to be quite a bit of activity in chat here. I would like to be able to keep it going, but we got raids and stuff going on tonight, and we may be able to just get Eric back on here again. And like you said, he's going to have his stream. You guys just check the team page and whatnot, and you'll be able to see where his URL on the team page. And real quick, I mean, I see people in there saying like Bill's number one or things like that. I mean, you don't get too caught up in the whole deal, and you guys are. If you guys have been around my stream much at all, you guys understand that, you don't really, it's not really the type of thing to say, like, hey, we're the best, everybody else is worse than we are. That's not really how it goes. It's like playing golf. You go out there, that's kind of what rating is. I mean, yes, you're competing against other guilds, but at the end of the day, it's how good your guild plays. And, you got to play against yourselves and not worry about what other people do. And wherever that ends up putting you, that's it. So you guys don't construe it to be different than what it is. But that being said, I want to thank Eric for hopping on here and doing this special guest interview. I know it was short notice. I kind of asked you, David. I knew you'd be around, so I wasn't really strapped for time in that regard. Yeah, any shout outs or anything like that? I know you probably see a lot of people in chat. We'll wrap it up here.
I don't know, man. I don't know about shout outs. I can answer your questions all day. Ultimately, I have to say, every time I log into the game, I get 2 or 3 tells minimum of people telling me, I saw you in a documentary, you've inspired me, or I think that's great, or whatever, or it's great to see an Armenian doing well. That's a big one. That's a big one. I just want to say thank you to everybody for your support. It's just it really means a lot to me. And honestly, if the guild wasn't so excited, well, I don't know if they're excited, but like positive and like happy about the fact that I sort of wanted to try and come back. I don't know if I'd want to do it. It's a different environment. It's a more pleasant environment, and yeah. Thank you to everybody. Again, please keep supporting us. No shout out. All right, Christian, you get a shout out. Christian, shout out to you, my friend. We have lunch all the time. He's one of the dudes I met at BlizzCon. One of my great friends I met through WoW. I don't know. Zonker, whatever, man. Rutso, Fury. I mean, all you guys, man. You gotta understand, I've gone through so much crap with so many people, and I've had so many great experiences. Ultimately, to me, it's always been a game, and it's always been about the people, the friendships, the community. One of my greatest experiences in 2010 was meeting Rhombus and Piccolo of Team Ice, and they were our biggest competitors, and there was a lot of drama with that as well. It's just a lot of this. I don't know, man. What are you saying? Oh, I see what you're saying. But yeah, so I will officially start streaming Tuesday. So you guys can jump on my page. You can go to www.araratbl.com. I actually had a domain name I could register a while ago for something else, and I used it for this. You can go to twitch.tv/team/blgaming to get all our streams. You got Riggnaros doing the raid leading. You got Affinity doing the radio voice. You got Dexter doing really, really weird shit. Zoomkins is a great guy. Answering your questions. Everybody on the stuff is doing great work. I love it. Shout out to Aries. None of this wouldn't even be possible if it wasn't for Aries. And big thanks to him. Shout out, you'll get your shirt when you give me your address. And yeah. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this. There's more to come, and I am looking forward to seeing what Mist has in store for me and the guild. So, and digging myself out of this negative DKP hole that I've apparently put myself in.
That'll take a while, but yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for hopping on here. I'll go ahead and
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll talk to you a bit whenever we get online. All right, buddy. Later. All right, so that's that with Eric. you know, we like I said, we're pretty tight knit guild for the most part. So it's I enjoy getting people from the guild and stuff like that on here, and you know, things like that. One real quick thing, a lot of people ask, you know, am I gonna have this on YouTube? I want you guys to do me a favor while we got so many people in here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my YouTube in the channel, and I want you guys to go to this. And you know, just take 30 seconds, hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. If you guys are new to the stream, go ahead and hit the follow button. You know, it's not a lot to ask. I'm not asking you. You know, I'm not one of those streams where you see people begging for money all the time. But if you want to donate, you're more than welcome. But you know, I mean, you know, I do this because I enjoy doing it. At the same time, you know, the majority of the stream, pretty much every day of the week, is just, you know, me talking, giving you guys answers to questions and stuff like that you have. So, you know, if you can, hit the subscribe button. You know, we're getting close to about 1,000 subscribers, so that's pretty awesome. I'd really appreciate it, and that would help me out a lot. Same thing goes for Twitter and things like that. But all in all, you know, thanks again for Eric for hopping on here, and thanks to everybody that's watching. You know, yes, and again, yes, Eric's going to be coming back from Myths and things like that. But you know, it's not. You know, there's no huge changes. BL's still doing what it's been doing for, you know, the past you know, 2-tier or whatnot, since you know, we've got the current leadership structure in place, and you know, it's working out really well. Eric should be a pretty solid addition. You know, he's always the the guy that's good with you know, dealing with people and things like that. But you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, any of the expectations and any of the you know, it's the best way to put it. None of the expectations and none of these standards are being, you know, changed whatsoever. I mean, we're still, you know, still have a pretty disciplined atmosphere and still have a very you know, strict approach to what we've got going on. So, you know, none of that's going to change, and you know, we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we'll see where that puts us. You know, not putting a number on it, it's generally not a good idea to do things like that. You don't want to sound like you know, some of those guilds out there. So you know, we're going to do what we do. Wherever that puts us, that's where it'll put us. Hopefully you guys enjoy the streams and things like that. We'll keep going with this on a weekly basis. So as far as raids, we've got some raids coming up tonight in less than an hour. Some heroic raids and things like that, but not a ton going on. Friday nights are somewhat slow some weeks, and you know, we'll see how it's going from there. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching the stream. Actually had the most turnout that we've had for one of the special interviews today. We're up to about 600 people. So again, follow the stream, please, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me actually see how many we got. I went from 874 to 892. That's not even 20. You guys can do better than that. But anyways, thanks again. We'll try to work on getting abs on here, and you know, some other people that, you know, get requested quite a bit, and just see what we can do. But thanks for watching. I'll probably run a few commercials. I'll have this uploaded on YouTube within 24 hours. All right. Thanks. Good talk.